Ever wished you could just step into a fairy tale?
Oh,
Be
okay.
careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that Stephen King explores in his book Fairy Tale.
Go, definitely.
And for this deep dive, we wanted to really kind of get into what's going on. So we've got the book itself, obviously.
Of course.
But we also looked at some really insightful reviews and analyses to kind of give us some other perspectives.
Awesome.
So are you ready to uncover some of these layers of this really modern fairy tale?
I am so ready. Let's do it.
Okay, so Fairy Tale, at its heart, is about Charlie Reed. He's just this seemingly ordinary teenager who discovers a portal to another world, a magical world called Empis.
It's like every kid's dream, right?
I know.
To find that secret world.
I know.
Yeah.
And it's got everything you think of, right? You've got talking animals, mystical creatures, a beautiful princess.
Mm-hmm.
But there is this really sinister undercurrent to it all.
Yeah, King does a great job of setting that up right from the beginning. Like you're getting this whimsical adventure, but then, bam, he hits you with this, like, chilling sense of dread.
Yeah, you definitely know something's not quite right in this world.
And you'd feel it.
And one of those first things is the ruler of this world,
Yeah.
the Vlitdoder.
The Vlitdoder, which...
It's a great name.
Yeah.
But then you've also got this other entity, this Gogmagog.
Gogmagog. Now, that's a name that sends chills down your spine.
Every time I read it, I was like, oh, what is that?
Right.
Like,
What is that?
It's terrifying.
Like, how do you even describe something like
It's
that?
never fully explained.
No.
Which actually makes it worse, in my opinion.
Oh, totally.
You know, it's just this force of ultimate evil. It's like a being of pure destruction.
It represents that darkness, that potential for chaos and annihilation.
Yeah, it's like everything bad all rolled into one.
Exactly.
And even the Vlitdoder fears this thing.
Which says a lot.
Right. If he fears it, we should definitely be afraid of it too.
Yeah.
So we've got this magical world.
Mm-hmm.
It's on the brink of collapse.
It really is.
It's ruled by a tyrant and threatened by this unspeakable evil.
So where does that leave Charlie?
Right. That's the thing. Like, what does this mean for this poor kid?
Poor Charlie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how does he navigate this very dangerous landscape?
Well, it's not just about, like, fighting monsters and uncovering secrets. You know, it's not your typical hero's journey. It's deeper than that.
Yeah.
He's really confronting his own inner demons and discovering, like, what he's truly capable of.
Yeah. He's forced to make these really difficult choices, often with life or death consequences.
High stakes.
It's very high stakes. You know, I keep thinking about the Rechtvar Dij tournament.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's not just a display of skill and strength.
No.
This is a brutal fight for survival.
Yeah, it's gladiatorial.
Total.
It's brutal, it's bloody, and it's...
You think fairy tale, you don't think blood sport.
Right. And this is where we see Charlie's heroism really put to the test.
Oh, absolutely.
In the most visceral way.
And it really is his coming of age moment.
Yeah.
But it's not triumphant,
Well,
you know? It's not this feel-good moment.
It's brutal.
It's harsh.
Yeah.
And it forces him to confront this darkness within himself.
Absolutely. He realizes that true heroism isn't about glory or recognition. It's about making those tough choices,
Yeah.
even when it means compromising your own morals.
And, you know, he's not alone on this journey.
Yeah.
He has allies, most notably Leah,
Right.
who's fighting her own battle against her brother, the Vlitdoder.
So she's got skin in the game, too.
Totally.
Yeah.
But I think the relationship is one of the most compelling things about this book.
Oh, I totally agree. What is it about their dynamic that you find so fascinating?
I think it's this shared sense of loss and this burden of responsibility that they both carry. You know, Leah is desperate to save her brother from this darkness that has consumed him, while Charlie is grappling with the grief of losing his mother and the weight of the task that he's been given.
They're both fighting for something bigger than themselves.
Yes.
And that's what creates that bond.
Yeah, and it's so powerful.
It's very powerful. And you've touched on something really important there, that theme of grief and loss. It permeates the entire story.
Oh, it's everywhere.
It's not just a backdrop. It's a driving force for many of the characters,
Totally.
shaping their choices and motivations.
Like you were saying, Charlie's grief over his mother's death, that's ultimately what leads him to Empis in the first place.
Right.
And Leah's love for her brother fuels her determination to stop him.
Even if it means confronting him.
Right.
Head on.
Exactly. And, you know, speaking of King's ability to just evoke emotions,
He's a master at it.
he's a master. I was thinking about his writing style. how immersive it is and
Yes.
how engaging. And I think
Uh-huh.
part of that is because of the first person
Right.
and the third person narration.
It's so smart the way he does that.
What do you think? Like, how does this narrative choice impact the story?
Well, it allows us to really connect with Charlie, right?
Mm-hmm.
When we're in his head, we're experiencing his thoughts, his feelings.
It feels so intimate.
It does.
Yeah.
And then he seamlessly transitions to that third-person perspective,
Right.
providing a wider lens on what's happening.
On Embis itself.
On Empus, exactly.
Yeah,
And so it keeps you on your toes.
totally.
You're constantly engaged and wondering, like, whose viewpoint are we going to get next?
And it really does add to the momentum of the story,
Yeah.
especially with all these short chapters.
Yeah, those quick chapters.
Nearly 150 of them.
Yeah, it's like he's throwing these little breadcrumbs at you,
I know.
urging you to turn the page.
What's going to happen next? And I love how each one has that whimsical little illustration at the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
It adds to the fairy tale vibe, but there's often something a little dark about them.
There is, isn't there?
Yeah.
Like there's something unsettling lurking beneath the surface.
Like everything's not quite as it seems.
Yeah. And that perfectly reflects the overall tone of the story.
Yeah.
It's brilliant how he does that.
It's not just decoration, it's adding to the story.
It's adding to the story.
And that kind of brings us to another key aspect of the story, which is the symbolism.
Oh, the symbolism. There's layers of it.
He doesn't just tell a story.
No.
You know, he weaves in these layered metaphors and symbolic elements that add all this depth and complexity.
What are some of the symbols that stuck out to you?
You know, I keep thinking about that Sycamore Street Bridge.
Oh, yeah, the bridge.
It's not just a place.
No.
You know,
it's a threshold.
It's a point of no return. It's where Charlie leaves behind the familiar world and steps into the unknown.
And it's where he experiences that profound loss.
Right. Early in the book, remember that tragic accident?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And the Sycamore Street Bridge becomes this symbol of the fragility of life.
Yeah.
This reminder that even in a world of magic and wonder, darkness and tragedy can strike at any moment.
It can happen anywhere.
And what about those outdated appliances in Mr. Bowditch's house?
Oh, yeah.
They always kind of stuck out to me.
It's such a specific detail.
It is. Like they seem out of place.
They do, right?
Yeah.
In this magical realm.
So out of place. Like what's the deal with the antique toaster and the ancient refrigerator?
It felt symbolic,
I know.
but I couldn't quite
I couldn't put my finger on it.
put my finger on it.
Yeah. What do you think?
Well, it represents a disconnect
Okay.
from the modern world.
Mm.
It's a sense of isolation,
Okay.
a timelessness
Okay.
that pervades Empus.
It adds to the unsettling atmosphere, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah, it's like time moves differently there.
Yeah.
Like certain aspects of progress have just passed it by.
Or maybe haven't caught up yet.
Exactly. It's a place where the rules of our world don't quite apply.
Maybe they apply differently.
Right. So we've talked a lot about the story, but let's not forget about the critics.
Oh, yeah. What did the experts think of this?
Right. What did they think of King's latest fairy tale?
Right.
Well, the reviews were overwhelmingly positive.
That's awesome.
I know. Critics like Matt Bell, he writes for the New York Times.
Mm-hmm.
He praised King's ability to blend the familiar with the unexpected, calling it a thrilling and thought-provoking adventure that will keep you on the edge of your seat.
I mean, that's high praise.
It's very high praise. And then you've got Amelia Ferrante.
Oh, wow.
She's this acclaimed Italian novelist.
Mm-hmm.
She actually shared her thoughts in The Guardian.
Wow.
She commended his storytelling, his masterful storytelling, and his exploration of these complex themes.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
So it sounds like King has once again struck a chord
It seems like it.
with both critics and readers.
Yeah.
But were there any concerns,
That's a good point.
any criticisms?
Ferrante actually did point out that the novel risks falling into the trap of equating physical disfigurement with evil.
Mm.
She argues that this trope, while common in horror, can be problematic.
Oh, I see.
You know, it reinforces harmful stereotypes and perpetuates this fear of those who are different.
That's a valid point.
It is a valid point.
Definitely something to consider,
Yeah, makes you think.
especially today.
Right. You know, it makes you wonder if King is consciously playing with this trope, perhaps subverting it in some way,
Right.
or if it's unintentional.
An oversight.
It's open to interpretation.
It is.
It's sparked some really interesting discussion.
I bet.
So, you know, it seems like fairy tale is more than just the spooky adventure.
Definitely.
It's a story that delves into these complex themes, challenges our perceptions, and it definitely leaves us with a lot to ponder.
I agree. We've only just scratched the surface. Are you ready to dive deeper?
I think so.
Okay. Let's go.
Let's do it. So we're back, and ready to keep exploring fairy tale. We've uncovered a lot already, but there's so much more to this book.
Yeah, we've barely scratched the surface. Like those themes and the characters, there's so much depth there.
Right. We were talking about Charlie's big coming of age moment during the refurbished, but I wanted to talk a bit more about his relationship with Mr. Bowditch.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. It's more than just like a simple friendship.
It really is.
Like there's a real depth there.
What do you think's going on with that?
Well, I think like Mr. Bowditch becomes this mentor for Charlie.
Okay. Yeah.
He's guiding him not just with radar, but with life.
Yeah, like navigating grief and loss, that's a big one.
Exactly. Mr. Bowditch is like this source of wisdom.
And support. He gives Charlie a safe space.
Yeah, in a world that's like super chaotic and unpredictable.
Right. I mean, you never know what's going to happen next.
No, you don't.
And I really love how their relationship kind of develops so naturally.
Oh, yeah, it's very organic.
Starting with this shared responsibility for radar, but it becomes this deep bond of trust.
And understanding.
It felt like Mr. Bowditch saw something special in Charlie,
Yeah.
like this potential.
Potential that maybe Charlie didn't even see in himself yet.
Exactly.
Like a diamond in the rough.
And that's so Stephen King, isn't it?
Oh, totally. It's
Yeah.
like that classic mentor-student dynamic, but with this,
Twist.
yeah, with that King twist.
Yeah.
And speaking of King style, have we talked about his settings?
Oh my gosh, I was just thinking about that.
Because MPs,
MPs, yeah, it's like
it's more than a backdrop, it's a character.
it's a living, breathing world.
It's like he just immerses you in it.
You really feel like you're there.
Yeah, you can feel the dampness of the forest.
Yeah.
You can smell that earthy scent.
Oh yeah, like those underground tunnels
Ugh, yeah.
and the sounds.
Eh.
You can hear the wind rustling through the trees. And it's both enchanting and terrifying at the same time.
Exactly. It's where that magic and reality just blend together.
Yeah, you've got ancient prophecies, mystical creatures, but you've also got modern technology.
Right.
And it's a place where, anything feels possible.
It makes you wonder what else is out there.
Exactly. And within this, fantastical setting, he's exploring some really profound themes.
Like the corrupting influence of power.
Oh, yeah, I was just thinking about the Vlootdoder.
Oh, he's the perfect example.
He was this beloved prince, a
Yeah.
symbol of hope.
But that dark magic, that grief, twisted him.
Turned him into this cruel tyrant.
It makes you wonder if anyone's really immune to that, you know?
Right?
It's like the lure of power.
And it's such a cautionary tale.
It is. It makes you think about, real world leaders.
Oh, yeah, ones who maybe started with good intentions.
But then they succumb.
Yeah, to greed and control.
It's not just the Vlootdoder who's dealing with these, moral gray areas.
Oh, no.
Right? Charlie, too.
Oh, yeah.
Faces these tough choices.
Yeah, moments where he has to figure out what to sacrifice for the greater good.
You know, it's interesting you bring up the tournament again.
Oh, yeah, why is that?
Because it also highlights choice.
Oh, okay.
Even with all the destiny and prophecy stuff going on, Charlie's choices have these real consequences.
Okay, yeah.
He's not just following a script.
He's shaping his own destiny.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like King is playing with this tension between fate and free will. Throughout the whole book, you're always wondering if Charlie is really in control or if he's just fulfilling some prophecy.
Yeah, it keeps you guessing.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Speaking of twists and turns, that ending, did you see that coming?
Not at all. Especially Charlie going back to his world. It was bittersweet.
It really was.
Yeah.
What did you think about that decision?
Should he have stayed in M-Peace?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I don't know. It was a mix of emotions for me.
Yeah.
Part of me was stay, there's more adventure. But then another part of me understood that longing for normalcy.
Like he had stepped into a dream, but it was time to come back to reality.
That's a great way to put it. But he's not unchanged, is he?
No.
He's carrying Empis with him.
He is. It's like he's been touched by magic.
And that experience, I think, is going to stay with him forever.
Absolutely. He's not the same naive teenager anymore.
He's a hero.
A survivor.
Keeper of secrets. And, we can't forget Radar.
Oh, Radar. He adds so much to the story.
I know.
More than just a pet, right?
So much more. He represents loyalty, courage, that human-animal bond.
It's that unwavering loyalty.
He brings warmth and humor to the story.
He does. He's a constant source of comfort for Charlie.
Yeah, and his senses, they're so heightened in Empis.
Oh.
He can sense danger. He can guide Charlie.
Yeah.
It's like he embodies this wisdom of the natural world.
It's like a reminder to trust our instincts.
Oh, yeah. And to listen to our heart. Okay, let's talk a bit more about the critics.
Okay.
We mentioned that the reviews were really positive, but I'd love to get into some specifics.
Yeah, let's dive into the details.
Like, what kind of praise did it get?
So remember Matt Bell from the New York Times?
Yeah.
He called it a spellbinding tale that will transport you to a world both magical and terrifying.
He was really impressed with the characters, especially Charlie.
Right.
And Emily Temple from LitHub, she loved King's language.
Yeah, she called it lush and evocative, creating a world that is both familiar and strangely otherworldly.
I loved that.
It's a great description. And she highlighted the themes.
Oh, yeah, like good versus evil, power.
Right. And the resilience of the human spirit.
So it sounds like Fairy Tale resonated with critics
It really did.
from different backgrounds.
Different perspectives.
But we also talked about those criticisms,
Right.
about the portrayal of physical disfigurement.
Right. And its connection with evil.
So what else did they say about that?
Well, like we mentioned before, Amelia Ferrante from The Guardian, she brought that up, saying that even though King is this master of horror, he sometimes uses tropes that are harmful. She pointed to the villains.
Oh,
And how their physical appearances kind of mirror their internal darkness.
That's a valid point.
It is.
You know, it makes you think about representation.
And stereotypes in media.
It reminds us that even our favorite authors, they're not perfect.
Right. They have biases too.
And it's important to be critical.
Absolutely.
But doing that doesn't take away from the enjoyment
No, not at all. It just adds more depth.
to our understanding.
Right, of the author's craft.
And their message.
Exactly.
And that's something we should always strive for.
As readers.
To be thoughtful, to engage in dialogue about the books that we love.
Before we move on, I want to go back to Mr. Bowditch's shed
Oh, yeah.
for a minute. It's more than just where the portal is, right?
What do you think it represents?
Secrets.
Oh, okay.
Hidden knowledge.
I like that.
That allure of the unknown. It's like that forbidden space that's calling to us.
Even though there might be danger.
Exactly. And it's also like a metaphor for the mysteries inside ourselves.
Our own potential.
Yeah, and maybe those shadows we keep hidden.
That's deep.
It's like King is saying, face your demons.
Embrace the darkness and the light.
Exactly. And that's what makes this book so powerful.
It's a journey into darkness.
But it's also a celebration of the human spirit.
Okay, I think I'm ready for those final layers.
Let's go.
Let's see what else King has in store for us. Back again for our final look at Fairy Tale. This has been such a journey.
It really has. Empis, King's style, those deep themes. It's been a lot.
It really has. And as we wrap up, there's one thing about King I wanted to touch on.
Okay, what's that?
His humor.
Oh, yeah.
Even in a story this dark,
Right.
he finds ways to make you laugh.
It's true. It's often subtle.
Yeah, like little observations.
Yeah. A well-placed quip.
It kind of breaks the tension.
It does. You need that sometimes.
Yeah, like a little breather.
Reminds you that even with the darkness, there's still light.
Exactly. And I think it makes the scary parts even scarier.
Oh, totally. It's like that contrast.
Yeah, and I loved the banter between Charlie and Radar.
Well, those two.
They're just so funny together.
Always a source of warmth.
Even in those crazy situations.
Like, no matter what, they have each other.
Do you remember that scene with Radar and the squirrels?
Oh, yeah, the talking squirrels.
Hilarious.
Trying to communicate.
It's like, even in this magical world, those simple joys still matter.
It shows that connection.
Yeah, and it transcends all those barriers.
It's pure King.
It is. Okay, but before we go, I wanted to touch on the ending again.
Okay.
Charlie coming back, it felt right, but also sad.
Good Swedes, right.
Yeah, it's like he's brought a piece of Empis back with him.
He has changed. How do you think that journey changed him?
I don't think he can ever be just a normal teenager again.
Right.
After what he's seen.
He faced things most people can't even imagine.
Yeah. It has to have an impact.
It has to. He's got this deeper understanding of things now.
Of life, of loss, of love.
He's seen the best and worst.
And he's come out stronger.
He has. He's not that naive kid anymore.
He's a hero.
A survivor. A keeper of secrets.
But it feels like the story's not over.
Right. Like that portal could open again.
There's still a sense of possibility.
That's what I love about King. He makes you wonder.
Yeah. Like, what would you do if you found a portal?
That question gets right to the heart of it.
It's that childlike wonder.
Yeah. The yearning for adventure. Fairy Tale reminds us that magic is still out there.
If we're open to it.
Exactly. Sometimes you have to face your fears.
Step into the unknown.
And you might find yourself along the way.
So I guess that's it for our deep dive into Fairy Tale.
Wow, time flies.
It does. Thanks for exploring with us.
We hope you enjoyed this journey. Maybe it sparked some of your own fairy tale dreams.
Just watch out for the shadows.
Until next time, Keep exploring and keep those dreams alive.